Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing this lovely Scarecrow. He's in Miniature Secret Garden. I'm going to be doing the background for the Scarecrow for this video, and I should do other parts of it in other videos. I'd sort of like to break it up a little bit. Now my idea for the background for this one is to do a sort of sunsetty type background for the sky. So we're going to start with a dark red, move through oranges to yellow, and it will show you a bit of an idea of how to shade and do this sort of background. Now the sky for me isn't going to go all the way down to the soil here. I think there should be something else along here, and I'm thinking there might be a field or something in the background. So I'm going to just roughly draw the field with the pencil that I'm going to be using first for my sunset, which is going to be the red. This is number 29. This is the really the darkest, the red, which comes in the set of 36 Staedtler Ergosoft pencils. If you've only got the 24, you'll have to go for the more orangey red colour I would start with. Okay, so what I'm going to do is really gently mark out where I think the fields are going to end and the sunset's going to begin, sort of thing. Now I don't think it will be a flat line, so I'm not going to use my ruler. I'm just going to gently draw a line like that and along here like that, and then we're going to start doing our background. Now I haven't popped a piece of paper behind, which I'm just going to do. Got some bits of paper here, just going to find one of the right size. So I'm going to pop a piece of paper behind, because very likely to go over the edge of the page while I'm colouring, and I don't want to go onto the edge of the next page. I'm also pushing this book down quite hard so I can get into the middle. Now I wouldn't recommend this unless you're really confident in the book. Now this is the UK edition of Johanna's book, and it's got a sewn spine, so I know that it's going to be really strong, and it's going to take some pressure and pressing. But often I hear that the US editions of the books, I'm not sure about this specific book, but the binding doesn't always hold so well. You need to be really careful when you're putting any pressure near the spine. You don't want your pages to fall out. So I'm just doing a gentle layer of this red colour. It probably looks really odd because it's curvy, but once we put the green underneath for the fields or whatever we do, it won't look so odd. Now I don't find that lots of really dark red always quite works, so I'm going to go over the top of this with the orange after. Now the idea here is to start with a darker colour, darker shade here, and then get lighter and lighter pressure like that. I'm going to do that now all the way through. You see, I just did a little rough bit to start with, and I was sort of thinking and chattering, not really concentrating on what I was doing. Now the good thing with doing what I'm going to do, which is I'm going to just go from red to orange, excuse me, and through to, I don't know what happened to my voice, and through to yellow, means that you can just work through your box, your tin of pencils, or if you've got them in the order they came in, you can just work through that order. You don't have to really think very hard about what colour to do next, which is great fun. Now of course we get these fiddly details with. I'm not going to worry about the cobweb. I often go over that with a silver pen, just to make it look a bit more shiny, so I'm not going to worry about colouring over that. I obviously want to not colour over. Now if I go over bits of the spider, again I'm not going to worry too much, because I can go over him in a black pen. I like to do my spiders black, but when it comes to the Scarecrow and the birds and things, to be a bit more careful. Now you notice that I'm doing a line, a horizontal directional line when I'm colouring this. This is number 2, and I'm going to go right over the top of what I've done already with this, and then and then drag the colour further up. Now, the reason I'm doing these horizontal lines is because I think that if you look into a sky when there's a sunset, clouds or anything like that, it tends to have this sort of horizontal stripes at times. It would, if you do it that way, it looks unnatural. Sky doesn't have lines going that way. And also, I've done it before when I was learning with blue. I did a blue sky and I coloured it that way, and it just looked like it was raining, which wasn't the effect that I was going for. It might work if you wanted a wet, rainy picture, but I tend to like sunny, happy pictures. So, okay, so see what I've done? I've taken it a bit darker down here, as I did with the red, and I'm just fading it gently up. And I do the same on this side, so a bit darker down here, and then fading it up. Now, with the Ergosoft, they don't go down that hard, so you can do layer after layer after layer to get all the colouring that you want. I am going to just colour over the spider. It's just going to make our life a lot easier, and I shall go over him in a pen later. Now, he will stand out then as well. Now, a black fine liner pen of any sort would do for that little detail. You could even use a black drawing pen if you've got such a thing. Now, what I try to do is sort of get this to line up a bit. I always find on the crease, on this, you get a bendy bit, it's quite hard to get a lighter pressure somehow. Not sure. My pencils are quite sharp. I think this would be slightly easier with a blunter pencil. Anyway, working our way up a bit, nice and light up here. And then we'll get our next colour, which is going to be, this is the really lovely pretty orange that I like, which is number 24. I'm going to again go over the top of the whole of the previous bits that we've done. This time I'm going to press hard enough, I'm still not pressing that hard, to try and get rid of all the white in the paper. And I'm going to take this all the way up to the sort of darkest bit of the last orange that we did. And then, it's quite hard to do it exactly right along there. And then I'm going to do a fairly dark layer here. I've chosen to do it with this colour because it's my favourite. There's no real reason why I couldn't do it with the last one or the next one. Sometimes you can go like this on the edge of the page, because you don't want to go that way because it will scrumple up the paper. And now I'm going to go lighter, so I'm just going to gently lift the pressure off the pencil. But I want to make sure that that's a nice gradual change. We don't want any harsh lines in here. And we're going to do the same here, so we're going to go quite dark all the way up to this sort of line. And over Mr. Spider and the cobweb. Now, backgrounds can be quite daunting, I have to admit, even for me, who's been colouring since 2013. It's sometimes I just don't bother at all. Sometimes I often do sort of quite an easy cheaty type background, make it easier. But I find this sort of thing is it's a bit more straightforward. And also, using this little book, I'm going to move on to number 4, and we're only going to overlap from about here this time. Using this little book is nice because there isn't such a big amount of background to worry about. You've got a much smaller page, So it's a great way to practice without feeling so daunted about the amount of space that you've got to fill in. There we go. Now pastels could be quite a good way to achieve a background like this as well. I've never actually tried to do this sort of colour. My pastels, I've only got 12, so I don't have a big difference in colour, so I haven't tried. I see this is a bit darker because it's near the edge. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about it. There we go, and now from about here, I think it was. This is very pretty orange, I think, as well. Really starting to see the effect of this sky. Now, while I'm doing the sky, I'm also thinking about Mr. Scarecrow. Now, he's going to be slightly silhouetted against this sky, but I still want him to have colour. But I was thinking if I'd maybe do some darker colours, it might look better. I'm trying to make that roughly equal with this, so our graduation in colour is even. It probably wouldn't be in a sky normally, but you know, it's up to you how you do it. It's your picture, you choose what you like. Okay, now moving on to the last of the oranges. This is number 42. We're going to again overlap some of what we've done already, and the overlapping is really key. It stops it looking so stripy. It can be, if you just do one solid layer of one colour and then a solid layer of another colour, it just looks like stripes. And although I have seen pictures done like that and they look really impressive, it just depends what effect you want to go for. That isn't the effect I'm looking for today. So I want to gently try and fade the colours into each other, which is why I overlap them and why I put a gentle pressure along here, and then there's some colour so that they can overlap each other and blend in together. See, this red and orange line is quite dark, so I'm just going to try and blend that in a little bit too. And same here, start about here. And you can keep layering the colours as much as you like, make them more or less intense. Now, what I've seen people do too, which is rather fun, is to go over the whole picture with this, with the colour. So go right over the top of the Scarecrow, and then just go over the top of the Scarecrow in a black pen, so he's completely silhouetted against the sky. That's another idea. It's particularly effective with the pastel background. It's nice and quick as well, really easy. Make sure it blends in. Okay, I think that's evenish. I'm thinking, do we need a bit along the top? I'm just going to do the slightest bit along the top, because we're now going into the yellows, and if we go from orange here to yellow here, it might look a bit too, I don't know, a little bit strange. So now what we've got as well is, I've noticed we're going into yellow and we've got the straw of his hat, of his hair I mean, and I would have done that yellow, so I'm going to have to think about that so that it stands out a bit more from the yellow that we're going into now. Now the next colour in the range of Ergosofts is the sort of peachy colour, number 43. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to miss that out and go on to the next, onto the yellow, which is the number 11. Now I'm going to start right at the bottom here to make this red more orangey with this yellow and take it all the way through. Now, because the book can take lots of layer of colour, it's a lovely paper, we can go back over any of it. So we could go back over this in the red, do the whole lot all over again to darken it up, whatever we want to do. It's lovely, you can add layer after layer of lovely colour. But I'm trying to do it as I go along, so that hopefully when I reach the top I'm done. But I might disagree when I get there. can see I'm putting quite a heavy pressure here near the bottom of this yellow and when I'm overlapping the orange. And then, oh, I do between the little birdie's legs, there we go. And as I go up, I'm going to do a gentler pressure here so that it can blend into a different colour, the next shade down. And so you see it gets a little bit more fiddly as we come along here. Now, the lower bits probably would have benefited from actually a blunter pencil, but this bit, a sharper pencil, is more useful. But don't worry too much, because I'm probably going to do my birds dark brown and that hair, the straw, a slightly darker brown, so it would all blend in anyway. Okay, and the same across here, so I'm going to do a darker layer across the top of his arm and sleeve, and take it lighter as we go up. And into the hair. Oh, he's such a happy smiley chappy, isn't he? I love him. He's a great favourite of mine in this book. And they're a bit darker over here while we're overlapping these bits again. And under here, oops, I've gone over his glove and his sleeve. Never mind. There we go. It's quite hard to see where we've missed off. It's probably easier for you to see. You're probably shouting, going, "You've missed that bit, you've missed that bit." I can't see that well. I need some new specs, I think. Anyway, moving on to the next yellow. This is our penultimate yellow, and it's the number 1. And so we'll slightly overlap as we did before, and then just take it up. Go quite high with this one because we've only got one more to go. And this one is a really nice, very sunny colour, I think. Yeah, now we have to be careful again of the hair. Oh, and the hat, which I just coloured over. Sorry, Mr. Scarecrow. Now with yellow, I find it quite tricky to see where you've missed because it's quite similar to white. But as we're fading it up, perhaps it doesn't matter if we've missed a few bits. And with sky, you sort of get away with it. It's just a bit of white cloud. It's exactly what I was intending to do, to miss that bit. I just try not to get too worried about all these little details. Ooh, I don't like that mark though. I'm just going to get my little Tombow eraser. Make sure it's clean on the end. There we go, remove that bit. Just realise how much I'm tilting my page. I hope you've been able to see most of what I'm doing. It's just an automatic habit to make it easier. There we go. It's quite fun when there's not a lot of detail in the way. It's quite fun. Scribble along, and you get rather a nice effect. There we go. And the last layer is in our lightest yellow, which is the number 10. And I'm going to overlap here and take it up to the top. I'm not going to fade it as I go to the top. I'm going to keep it nice thick layer all the way across. while my pencil's still really sharp, I'm going to do around the bird here. See, I'm thinking now, what colour are we going to do these birds' beaks? I would usually do them yellow, but we've got all this yellow, but then a lot of birds don't have yellow beaks. It's just, so I have to do something different. Maybe brown, maybe black. Let's see. I'm thinking I might do the Scarecrow in shades of brown, and then the bird maybe in greys, but we'll see. That's for the next video. I may have planned it by then or not. Ooh. See why you have to take care with these edges. Don't want to bend the page over like I did. Okay, whoa. Now we're at the stage where you would sit back and have a look and you think, now am I happy with that? Is there anything I want to add? Are there any areas that look a bit light or a bit dark that I want to blend in? I'm thinking I'm going to go over this a bit to blend it in. You don't have to do this. Completely up to you. Okay. There we are. There's our, I'm happy with that. I'm going to turn it so you can see it. There's my sunset / sunrise Scarecrow background. Then we will need to do this bit, which will be our green hill, sort of green field stretching down to here. And then I think this bit at the bottom is probably mud. So those will be my next sort of little bits to do. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed the video. Ooh, my battery's nearly flat, so that was good timing. And next time we'll take up some different bits of the Scarecrow. Thank you for watching. Happy colouring.